I'd say that when most people think of the best weapons in Battlefield 1, they often think of the assault-specific guns. There are still a lot of players who really hate a lot of the faster firing guns in the game, like the Automatico, the machine and pistol, and the Hellriegel, or even shotguns like the Hunter. Remember when that was crazy overpowered? It is still pretty good, but thankfully not as insane as it once was. While it's fun from time to time to get up close and personal with some fast firing weapons, it's not really the class that I enjoy most in BF1. That award goes to Medic, although it's a close battle with Scout. This tends to be my thought process. Most of the time when I load into a game, I'll go for either Medic or Scout, just depends on the map really. If it's more of a long range map, then I'll definitely go Scout, or failing that, most likely Medic. I feel like I can help the team more when I'm playing as this class and also keep my squad alive. Sometimes though, it is nice to run around with the Automatico or a shotgun. I know, don't hate me, come on, we've all done it. But for the most part, I only tend to jump into assault when I need to take out a tank, or if I feel like going to town with the MP18 Trench on a more infantry based map or game mode like Domination. And then lastly we've got the support class, and while it seems to be the weakest class to me still, after the Time to Kill 2.0 update, I feel like it's in a much better place now. The support weapons are a lot of fun to use, and personally I love the BAR Storm. It's easily one of the best weapons in the game. Having said that, I tend to go support when I've been playing the other classes quite a bit and just fancy a change, or to grind XP by dropping ammo on Fort Vaux when a double weekend is on. That's the way to do it. Overall though, it's still my least played class in BF1, but I know that there are a lot of players who love it as their go-to class. If you want to get crazy points though, as I said, then support is definitely the one to go for. Medic as well, it's also great because you get a lot of points from revives and heals, but as support you can just throw ammo around like Smarties, and usually players are short of at least some bullets, and what do bullets make? Points. So why Medic then? Why is this my favourite and arguably the best class in the game? Well, some Medic rifles have always been very strong, but after the recent Time to Kill patch, Medic rifles became a better choice overall as the weapon balance changed quite a bit. What I like most about the Medic class is that there are quite a few weapons that are just better for certain situations. I'm a huge fan of one of the more recent additions, the Howell Automatic. It comes in two variants, the Sniper and the Factory, but I tend to use the Sniper version most of the game. The Factory version though, if you put on the AA sights, can also be very good. It's mostly the sound and the punch of the weapon that I love. It just has this thud that's really satisfying, especially when followed by the glorious headshot sound. The Sniper version of the gun lets you take out enemies at a much longer range, and it doesn't take too many shots with this gun to get a kill. But the Medic class has lots of Sniper variants of guns, and honestly a lot of them are pretty similar. They've all got some advantages and disadvantages, so I think a lot of it comes down to personal preference. There are definitely better choices than the Howell Automatic Sniper that we'll talk about later on in the video, but I really love the way it sounds and feels. The downside of the Howell Automatic though is the firing rate, because it doesn't fire particularly fast. So up close against the faster firing weapons, it can be a bit tricky, especially if you miss a shot or two. It used to be that my go-to medic weapon was the Autoloading Extended, and I do still use it from time to time. This one is far more of a close range weapon though, where you can just spam the bullets. You can use it with the default iron sights or change it up to the buckhorn sight, but there are no AA sights or anything like that for this weapon. The main benefit of this weapon though, especially when compared to something like the Howell Automatic, is the firing rate. You can fire this gun off very fast, and that's especially useful if you get into a fight up close. Not only can you fire it really fast, but the hip fire is pretty good too. And so often you can just spam without aiming down the sight. Your movement's going to be quick and you can get away with it. The auto-loading comes in two other variants though, the Factory and the Marksman. Very different in fact to the Extended. The Factory variant is an absolute monster in close to medium ranges, and you'll drop almost every other gun in the game with a straight up firefight. However, much like the RSC, which we'll look at later, you get barely any shots before you've got to reload, so you've really got to concentrate on where you're putting those shots and reload intelligently rather than when you're going around a blind corner and you don't know what's down there. I imagine that it's quite hard to use on console when you're using a controller, but on PC, if you can place your shots with this, you can just completely tear people up. The way I play with both of these guns is far different, and I like that. It's good that you can pick certain weapons for different situations. Going back to the auto-loading extended though, it's a bit similar to the M1907 sweeper in that sense, that it's really good up close. The sweeper is one of those medic weapons of choice in incursions, and I've used this one quite a lot too. The interesting thing about the sweeper is that it's got an auto mode. It's still not as fast firing as the auto loading, assuming that you can click your fire button fast enough, but it's sometimes nice to just put on auto fire mode and let the gun do the rest for you. Like the auto loading, it's got good hip fire too, but it's not quite as good up close. If I were tryharding though with the M1907, I'd definitely go for the factory variant. Yeah, you're going to have to click every time you want to shoot instead of just holding mouse 1, but it is better in a lot of respects than the sweeper. The other medic rifle to have on auto mode is the Seragotti, but while I used to use that quite a lot more when the game first released, I don't tend to go back to it that much anymore. The factory version of the Seragotti though is probably one of the best all-around weapons in the game if you look at the stats of it. So if you're new to playing medic, give the Seragotti factory a shot and I think you'll be surprised at how good it is. The RSC though, damn. This weapon was added in the They Shall Not Pass DLC, and one of the first things you'll notice with this weapon is how powerful it is. At closer ranges it can two-shot enemies, and there's just a great satisfaction landing those shots, but if you miss a shot or two, it's a lot less forgiving than some of the other medic rifles. The Howell Automatic has got so many bullets in the magazine that if you miss a few shots, it's not the end of the world, but with the RSC, if you do a reload you get 6. Not many, and because it's got quite a slow firing rate, it can land you in some hot water if you don't hit those shots. It's definitely a skill cannon, this one. A quick 2 shots will dispatch of most players at close range. The hipfire is okay on it, but not as strong as some of the other rifles like the auto-loading. Then of course when the In the Name of the Tsar DLC launched, the medic class got even more versatility with a fully automatic weapon for the first time. The Fedorov Aftermath. This gun gives you more options because it favours those medics who like to get up close and personal in the action but perhaps didn't want to play as assault using some of the other automatic weapons or a shotgun. I think there's something about using the Fedorov with the medic that just reminds me of the older days of Battlefield, perhaps in say BF3 running around with the M16A3 and throwing medic packs down everywhere, taking infantry out left, right and centre. Don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing the Fedorov to the M16A3, but it was the first time in BF1 where you had an assault rifle feeling automatic weapon and healing abilities on the medic class, and it's just really fun to use. There are also so many other weapons that I haven't covered. The Selbstlader has a marksman, optical and factory version and is a favourite of a lot of players. The Mondragon Storm is a very satisfying weapon to use too, but you can run the optical or sniper version of that if you fancy. The Farquhar Hill was also another rifle added, and it reminds me a little bit of the RSC in the sense of it being a hard-hitting rifle that you've got to be really accurate with. The only 2 rifles I probably haven't played with that much are the Selbstlader 1906 and the General Lu rifle. The General Lu rifle was added in the Name of the Tsar DLC too. In total there are 11 medic weapons, but some of those weapons have up to 3 variants, so in total there are 27 options when it comes to medic rifles, from close range automatic guns to longer range sniper variants and rifles that have better hipfire capability. So if we exclude Scout from the equation, because we know how much fun it is landing that sweet sniper headshot and getting that beautiful noise, the medic class is the most fun in the game for me, and honestly, even next to the Scout class, it's still my personal favourite. It's a great blend of close range and long range action, where I know if I've picked the right rifle for the right map, I can still get up close and win battles against faster firing weapons. It's also more of a challenge to me than sitting back and sniping, despite that being a lot of fun. Couple that with the fact that you get the satisfaction of helping your team, healing them, reviving players, and getting those sweet points in the process, it will always be my number 1 go-to class in BF1. Here's hoping that they don't change up the medic class too much for the next game, because right now, medic is king. I thought that I would wrap up and end this video with what my top 3 favourite go-to medic guns are in the game, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to ask. So if I'm try-harding, getting really sweaty and going for big kills, my number 1 would be the RSC Factory, followed by the 835 Factory, and then finally number 3, the Fedorov Aftermath Optical. All 3 of those weapons have great stats that really suit my playstyle well. They might not work out as well for you depending on how you like to play and approach various situations and gunfights. For me they work great, but try them out yourselves and see what you think. And that's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.